What's going on is Anton from antondaniels.com. I appreciate you guys for continuing to rock with me. This video is sponsored by Teach Henley. 40% off your first order plus 20% off for life. Phenomenal product. Link is in the description. Also, tap into the Patreon. Link is in the description as well as pinned to the top of the chat. We doing some phenomenal things. Meetup end of this month. Also, we got Stock Club tomorrow. And then last but not least, make sure y'all tap into the Discord. We continue the conversation in the Discord. That link to the Discord is in the description of any of the most recent videos that's inside of the Patreon. And then we got an exclusive video coming this week, the end of this week. Yeah. So yeah, man, make sure y'all tap in. Without further ado, we're going to get into this video. I literally just got this in my email and somebody sent it to me. So shout out to the people that send in the videos for me to continue to have a conversation with. Pat Fobbs. Shout out to Pat Fobbs sending me this video. I have not watched it yet. You know I have not watched it yet because he literally just sent it to me, and then I'm going to drop it right after I record this. But basically, it's a woman that's saying that, or telling her story as to why she became HIV positive. Let's get into it, man.
Hi everyone, my name is Bianca. I'm HIV positive, and this is my story. I want to start off in prayer. Thank you, Heavenly Father, for this beautiful and perfect day that you have given us all. I pray that you help.
Amazing how a woman that looks like this, looks healthy, nothing wrong, not skinny, not just completely failing in health. It's just HIV positive, just walking around. People you see every single day walking around with the clamp, herpes, HIV, all of that, man.
Make everything broken. Where to begin? I guess on the night that I met the guy that infected, I was on a date with this guy and his girlfriend. I got really drunk. He got really mad. By the time that...
What? I was on a date with this guy and his girlfriend.
I got really drunk. He got really mad. By the time that we parted ways, I was extremely, extremely drunk. Now, if you've seen the other videos, I go into detail about what happened on the date. It's really embarrassing, so I don't like to repeat it. Just go back to the video.
Review that later.
That night was just like a culmination of all the bad decisions I've made. Let's recap. I'm on a date. The date goes bad. He does not want to see me for the rest of his life. So I'm not with the date anymore. I'm in the streets by myself, walking aimlessly because I was drunk. And so...
Father, stay in your daughter's lives. Stay in your daughter's lives. This is the result of people that have the ability to choose for themselves and choose wrong and have not failed in controlled environments and been taught the lessons that have both parents inside of their households. I'm almost sure of it, bro.
I run into a group of people, and knowing myself, I probably said something very disrespectful and out of pocket because that's how I behaved when I was drunk, which is why I don't drink anymore. It's gonna be a year in September since I had alcohol, so glory to God for that. After that, I walk away from the people. I notice someone following me, and not only is he following me, but he's recording me on his phone. So I immediately feel very defensive and I feel unsafe. Woo! Okay, I sense that someone's following.
Why do people always turn to God once they have a life event that's so destructive that they can't really come back from it?
Me. He crosses the street to get closer to me, and he has a phone in hand and puts it right in my face. I knock the phone from his hand. It falls onto the floor. He curses me out and then puts it even closer. So at that point, I feel extremely violated and I'm belligerent. I have a history of trauma with men, sexual trauma with men, childhood sexual trauma. And
fathers, stay in your daughter's lives. Make sure that she don't break up the family. Ain't no breaking up the family. We doing this for the kids. This ain't about you. This is about our daughter.
And so these are things that I carried with me.
Keep saying
and unfortunately, that. if you know, you know. Being part of a Hispanic and minority family, you don't talk about your traumas. I couldn't go to therapy because we didn't go to therapy. That was specifically for other people. There was a lot of trauma that I was living with, that I was carrying inside of my body, because your body literally stores trauma. That's what I mean by a culmination of all the pain. He has this phone in my face and it triggers something in me and I spit on him. I literally...
This is getting worse and worse. The further this goes, the worse this gets. And I always like to give credit to the content creator, so I'm always going to link back to the content creator in the description of the video, but it's getting bad, y'all.
Got the biggest loogie that I could find from the back of my throat, and I spit on him. And once I spit on him, he punches me in the face, knocks me out, cold. I don't remember anything for a while. The first thing that I remember when I come to is I'm crying. I am hysterical. And I hear someone's voice asking me, yo, are you okay? Are you good, ma?
Okay. Are you okay?
My eye is like so swollen. Are you good, ma?
Okay. Man, I don't know where this story is going. I don't, well, at least we know she's telling the truth. Good God. Okay, so let's recap so far. Went on a date with a man and his girlfriend. Apparently didn't have any strong parents in her side of her life. Went out, got drunk, was used to being belligerent and disrespectful towards men. Wound up putting herself in a situation where she was disrespectful. Somebody followed her. She spit on them. They punched her in the face. Now somebody is helping her, apparently. Are you okay?
My eye is like so swollen. I'm recording on my phone, right? So it's like, oh, you want to record on your phone? I'm going to record on my phone. This person who asked me if I was okay is obviously not the same person who knocked me out. So the person who was asking me if I was okay ended up being the person who infected me. He picks me up and takes initiative on trying to get me home. He escorts me to his car. People are also in the car. During the time that he is taking...
This is a woman that is just randomly going from person to person, trauma to trauma, car to car, all on the same night. Jesus Christ. Father, stay in your daughter's lives.
Everyone else home, and people in the car are like, yo, leave her on the side of the road. I was probably still being belligerent, but I'm still a human being. So at this point, he's asking me for an address, but I'm not giving it to him because I'm drunk. Instead of taking me to like a police station, hospital, etc., he's like, you know what? I'm gonna take you to my place. He takes me to his place. I remember walking into his place, but that's the only thing I remember. The next morning, I woke up in such a daze that I wasn't even sure if I was alive. And then I realized that I couldn't open my eye, and that's when I started crying. I am facing the wall, so I don't know who's behind me. Once I start crying, he wakes up, or he's been awake, and he's like, come over here. Like, I don't remember this person at all. I don't remember what this person looked like. And I was so scared to turn around and be appalled by what I saw, right? I turn around and it's him. I'm like, could have been worse. This is the ignorance, right? This is behind HIV. Because this guy was literally dying from his untreated HIV, potentially AIDS diagnosis. I thought he was cute. It's so ignorant. Please,
Father, stay in your daughter's lives. Father, stay in your daughter's lives. Jesus Christ.
You, if there's anything that you can take away from this video, is that HIV does not have a look. You could be sleeping with someone who is literally counting their days. I start questioning him. Did we have intercourse? He basically lied to me and told me that we didn't have intercourse, but I'm like, I'm naked, you're naked. I think we had intercourse. And I think at that point he was just really scared that I was gonna say that he like assaulted me. But, which I do believe that he did. Please do not have intercourse with someone who is drunk, especially if you yourself are not, especially in the state that I was in, because I wasn't tipsy. I was far beyond that point. He eventually drops me off at home. We go our separate ways, but he's persistent about being in my life. He calls me, checks up on me. We embark on this relationship, right? And the only one that ends up being in a relationship is me. He is still doing whatever he pleases. He knows how to set his boundaries so well. He knows how to keep...
She's in a relationship with a man that picked her off at the side of the road when she got punched in her eye and bust her down without her consent inside of his crib. That got HIV. Yo, can this story get any worse?
Keep his many different lives separated, and he remembers all of his lies. So we were together for 7 or 8 months total. It's hard to describe what I felt because I'm not sure what parts of it were real and what parts of it were manipulation. I did need therapy after our relationship, not just because of the HIV. Actually, I didn't receive any therapy for the HIV, but it was mainly because of the gaslighting that I received. I wasn't really sure about what was real and what wasn't real. During that time is when I acquired HIV. What? I can't say that I acquired HIV the same night that I met him. I will say though, I started getting symptoms 3 weeks after the night that I met him. His viral load was very high. The higher your viral load, the easier it is to infect. I was sick for about another 3 weeks. During that time, he was very much like, you can't give me what you have, don't worry, I can't get sick, I just want to take care of you. It's really hard when you're with a narcissist. It's really hard to differentiate like what you should have done versus what you feel like you're able to do. You become them, essentially, and you start thinking like them. You start thinking for them, like, oh, what would they want me
So did she know that she had HIV 3 weeks after, or did she just know that she had the symptoms?
to do? I ended up getting tested 5 months after we met. The reason why I ended up going to the doctor is because even though I wasn't symptomatic anymore, like there were 2 symptoms that persisted. One of them being consistent, unending yeast infection. So I would take clindamycin like maybe once a week. I would be good for a couple of days and then the yeast infection would come back. Discovered that I had thrush, which is kind of like a consistent yeast infection. I'm not saying that everyone that suffers from thrush has HIV, but I'm saying like that was a symptom that I experienced. And then the second thing that was very odd to me was that it was so painful to have intercourse. Actually, he experienced the same thing too. During this time, he was very unwell, but I didn't know what it was. And I realized.
So you having sex, unprotected sex, with a dude that's sick as hell, very unwell. So both of y'all, man, this is fathers. Stay involved in your daughter's life.
That I was in a lot of pain and that the clindamycin wasn't curing my yeast infection. I was like, okay, I don't have insurance, so I'm not going to go to the doctor, but I could go to the clinic and explain to them what's going on since it's down there. Maybe they have an answer or they can refer me to someone else that can give me an answer. Mind you, I got tested the day before I met him. The entire panel came out negative. The night before I went to the clinic, I had this like...
It doesn't seem like she's lying. I mean, in a general sense, we would all be like, oh, that's cap. You got tested right before you met him. Yeah, okay. But it does seem like she's pretty authentic and she's pretty much telling the truth about her. She's really forthcoming with everything else that she's saying. So I just have an inclination to believe that she did get tested the day before that she met him.
A gut-wrenching feeling that I was going to get very bad news. I wasn't expecting it to be HIV. I was expecting it to be something else that could be cured with a shot. And if you haven't gotten tested this year, honey, chlamydia? It is June. Please go get tested. Only thing that they can give you results for the day of is an HIV test. Go back to the waiting area, and after your HIV results come back negative, you're free to go. So I'm sitting down in the waiting area, waiting for them to tell me like, okay, you know, you're free to go. But instead, they call my number up. I find out that I am HIV positive. My world obviously shattered into a million pieces. They told me like not to worry, that there's a possibility that it could be a false positive. But I knew for a fact that there was no way that I wasn't positive, especially when I started thinking about the symptoms that I had when I first got infected. This is the reason why I was so sick. Like I was just waiting for God to take me. That's how horrible and painful.
No, you got to come on back to the front of the congregation. You got to live through this, baby. You got to suffer from the bad decisions that you make, and then kids ultimately suffer for the decisions of their parents.
And confusing and scary that time was, because no one was giving me answers as to why I was so sick. So when they finally told me that I had tested positive for HIV, I was like, well, that makes perfect sense. So I told him the day that I found out. I thought he was going to be shocked. I thought he was going to be scared. I thought he was going to be mad. And he was none of those things. He was neither surprised, shocked, scared, nor mad. He just said, oh, okay. Like as if I didn't say what I just said. He didn't want to talk about it. Our biggest fights were when I was trying to get him to go to the doctor. Because that's all I wanted for him, was to get help. And I never...
They should have stayed together. They was toxic together. They both infected together. They might as well just rock out.
Accused him of giving me HIV. I never said, you gave me HIV. I was never mad at him. Because what was done was done. At this point, I was just like, are you going to get help? He obviously didn't, if you guys know. And that was the choice that he wanted to make for himself. The only thing that makes me sad about that is that he also kind of made that choice for other people. Didn't have to do what he did to me and to the other women, you know. Please get tested. if you haven't already. And just trust God. Get into your word. I'm not here to point my fingers at you, but I will say that sex outside of marriage is immoral.
That's the moral of the story, is that y'all need to stop being so promiscuous. Every single person that you let bust it down is basically playing Russian roulette with your life. Every single person that you let bust it down is basically playing Russian roulette with your life. That's the moral of the story right here. I'm curious as to what y'all think. Make sure y'all tap into the Patreon. Link is in the description as well as pinned to the top of the chat. I can't wait to read y'all comments on this. I think that this is a conversation that we need to have on After Hours tomorrow. I love y'all. I appreciate y'all. Till then.